VanDruff, sorry.
What do you think about when you hear the word career? My mind immediately goes to working a 9-to-5 job that makes you feel miserable and hate your life. This is something that I don't want to experience. For my career, I want to be happy and content with where I am and what I'm doing. I want to be able to rant about what I'm doing in my job and be truly passionate about it. This year-long Capstone experience has shown me I have no idea what I truly love. The main prompt for Capstone is, what do you love? And even before the start of my senior year, I was freaking out about trying to find that. In the summer of 2021, I was at a volleyball camp in Ogallala, Nebraska, when I tore my ACL, which is a major ligament in my knee that's very important for any kind of sports. I could not play my junior year of volleyball, which was very hard for me. And eventually, I had my surgery, and I started the long haul of physical therapy. In those many months, I had shown an interest in physical therapy, and I was curious about how all the little movements could do the most work. So when senior year rolled around, I thought, why don't I just do physical therapy for my capstone? And that's exactly what I did. For first semester of my capstone, I did it on physical therapy. I interviewed my physical therapist, Allison Lackey, as well as shadowed her. Only when I shadowed her did I realize that doing physical therapy for capstone might have been a mistake. December speeches were in a couple of weeks, and I was frantic about trying to write my 7 to 8 minute speech. I talked with Mr. Schultz and told him I have absolutely no idea what to write. When I was trying to write my paper, I found myself saying that I love physical therapy and that's what I wanted to do for my capstone as well as a career. All of this was fabricated. I was not talking about what I loved. I was not telling the truth. I did not like physical therapy as a topic, and I found that I did not want to be a physical therapist in the future. Mr. Schultz had told me that I could either change my capstone a week before speeches or just keep going with it. I dreaded the thought of having to change my capstone because then I'd have to think of something else that I was super passionate about. But I decided to change it. For the December speech, I told the class that I didn't want to do physical therapy and that I'm going to choose something else for my capstone. After Christmas break, we were back at school, and I still had no idea what I wanted to do for my capstone project. I was back at square one. When the sign was coming soon, I had to decide on something. My mom had talked with me at the beginning of the year about enlisting in the Air Force, and at first I was like, no, Mom, I don't want to go in the Air Force. But after some research and talking to some trusted peers, I decided I was going to enlist in the Air Force as well as do it for my capstone project. I interviewed Ben Cometa, who is an alumni from Front Range, and as well as a sophomore at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. During my interview with Ben, I felt more confident about the Air Force and pursuing it after high school. My only dilemma is that I still don't know what I want to do for a job in the Air Force. There are so many opportunities to choose from, there's so many options to choose from as well as opportunities. Because I don't have any idea what I want to do for a job, it's nice that I have options to choose from, and while I'm doing any job in the Air Force, I will get experience and even more opportunities to pursue that even outside of the Air Force. I care about this topic a lot because it will be my life. And I'm the kind of person that when I want to do something, I do it the best that I can and strive to make it perfect. As a job, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to be passionate about it and be able to do it well. At Front Range, we have a different definition of good. And that is that all that God finds true, which corresponds with nature. I believe that the Air Force, as my capstone, is truly good because that is what I'm passionate about. Apostle Paul says in Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, work heartily, as do it for the Lord and not for men. This verse truly resonates with me because I want to be happy doing my job as well as doing it in the Lord's favor. In this speech, I will be sharing the lessons that I've learned through this very long process and how I connect it to God in my future. The first thing that I learned this year is that I'm a very introverted person, and that I do not have the patience to work with a lot of people for a long amounts of time. As I said previously, I realized that when I shadowed at a physical therapy clinic, I thought I was making a mistake in choosing physical therapy as my capstone. When I was there, I saw that Allison, my physical therapist, was very talkative and personable. She knew all of her patients and she was very helpful and caring. However, I noticed that all of the patients that we saw were complaining a lot and not necessarily doing all of their exercises. Especially because I was there, many of them were older, and they were telling me their experiences to why they had to come to physical therapy. They were pretty much just talking the whole time, and that made me frustrated because when I was doing physical therapy, I tried to work my hardest and do whatever I could to make myself better. I got very irritated with that situation, and that was my first hint that I was not fit for physical therapy. I know myself, and I know that I cannot talk to a lot of people for a long amount of time, and this was a huge turnoff for me. Especially this year, I've seen that I shut down when I have a long day of talking to people. This I realize I need to work on because in any job there's going to be inconveniences that I'll have to deal with. This realization has impacted me because I'm now aware of things that I need to work on. I know that in the future that I will have to have the patience for others in order to live out God's plan for me, as well as being a good Christian. I am changed because of the things I discovered about myself and the effect it will bring to choosing what I want to do for a career. I am very grateful for Allison and the opportunity to discover the things that I might not be as well cut out for. I want to be helpful and important in this world, and this experience has narrowed my choices down to where I can make a difference. I realize that through this experience, God has really helped me be more in touch with myself. I know different things about myself that I now know that I need to change and work on in my future. God created us to work. It's in our nature, working for Him. Psalms 9:17 says, "May the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Establish the work of our hands." Yes, establish the work of our hands. Throughout the next few years, I truly want to work hard because that's what I'm called to do. For my second lesson, I learned that it is important to have constant motivation because of the life we live in. Life does not always go according to plan, so in order to adapt and succeed when the bad things happen, we need motivation to get us through on the other side. Beta Sauter explains in her article called "The Vital Importance and Benefits of Motivation" that finding ways to increase motivation is crucial because it allows us to change behavior, develop competencies, be creative, set goals, grow interests, make plans, develop talents, and boost engagement. This year, I've learned that I'm not very good at motivation. I only seem to make small goals for myself that don't get me anywhere. But in order to have good motivation and to really push myself, I need to get out of my comfort zone, and as Nike would say, just do it. However, when I do get motivated about something, I want to do it in that exact moment because I know that in the future or the next day, I just won't want to do it. I've made it my goal now, after high school and going into the Air Force, to challenge myself to be motivated with a good and healthy motivation. And when I think about doing something that I need to do or that will be good for me, just do it then and there. In February, I read the book Do Hard Things by Steve Magnus. This whole book talks about how true toughness is flawed and how we can train our minds to react to different situations. Do Hard Things is a self-help book that instructs how to direct our feelings and sensations in order to overcome hard things in life. Steve Magnus is a performance coach and has had many experiences working with Olympic athletes. Throughout the book, Magnus talks about motivation, so he made an equation for it. And that is actual effort divided by expected effort times drive equals performance. This equation goes back to the beginning of the book when he criticizes the parents, coaches, and teachers who use motivation as a tactic to get their kids, players, and students to do what they wanted them to do. He turns to Coach Pete Carroll and his own path of toughness and encouragement for his team. He adapts, quote, motivation from fear with an inner drive and insecurity with a quiet confidence. This way of coaching is the best for performance because Carroll's players all had an individual drive that pushed them to work harder. For me in my life, I will always need motivation and drive in order to get things done that I need for myself. This lesson has impacted me because I know I need motivation in my life, and I need to follow steps in order to achieve my higher goals. I hope that this push of motivation will keep me from procrastinating and not wanting to do something all at once. My third lesson in my capstone experience is, in fact, the Air Force. I have learned so many things about it this semester. I am so grateful for the experience that I've had in order to explore this area that will soon become my life. As I said previously, I was hesitant about doing my capstone on the Air Force and the whole concept of it. However, when I did my interview with Ben Cometto, I felt more confident about what I'm going into. When we were talking about all the different things that I could do, I was a bit overwhelmed, but I was still fascinated with how many jobs there were. I'm still unsure of the job that I want to do or that I will be doing in the Air Force, but I've also learned that it's okay with not knowing exactly what my future will be. I think this is a good quality for me to learn because I always want to know exactly what I'm doing I always want to know exactly what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. I know I want a job that's active so I don't have to live a life working a 9-to-5 desk job. With the Air Force, there are so many different jobs that I could do. But when I think about the Air Force, it seems like an intimidating thing because it's the government and it seems really serious. I realized during the interview that not all of the Air Force is serious and professional. This definitely made me feel better about joining, even though the life that I saw at the academy is a lot different from the life that I will be living. I'm still grateful for the experience and the ability for me to see what life is like there. For my second semester experience, I toured the Air Force Base in Colorado Springs. The day that I went was the day of their Founders Day Parade, which is where the entire cadet wing marches in formation to honor the Air Force Academy founding in 1945. 1954. This experience was very valuable for me because that would be the kind of thing that I would be doing as an enlisted recruit, and this lesson has impacted me in the way of showing my future. And these are just a couple of pictures of. This is a very small window, but I can still see where I'm going. The biggest impact this experience has had on me was definitely when I went to the Air Force Base to see what life was like, as well as the interview. I am so grateful for these experiences that I've done and seen, and I hope that this process will help me while enlisting in the Air Force. Overall, the process of Capstone has been very difficult. However, I'm glad that this project has given me a better understanding of myself. By finding out that I do not like physical therapy and is definitely not suited for my personality, I know a lot more things about myself and what I'll be good for as a job or even as a hobby. At the beginning of the semester, I had no idea what I wanted to do for my life. Even now, there's still uncertainty with exactly what life will be like, but that's okay. It's a process and I'm learning to deal with it and be patient. If there's anything that I've learned from the experience this year, it's okay not to know, and to live right now and not constantly worry about the future. I realize now that I'm so glad that I changed my capstone, because it would have been so much harder for me to pursue physical therapy when I knew I didn't like it. This way of changing my topic to something that I'm truly passionate about is the best decision I've made all year. The Air Force is something that is going to be so good for me, and I know I need motivation to pursue who I truly am and what I truly love. Even though I'm not sure what I want to do for a job in the Air Force, I want to do it good and completely. I know that this step into the Air Force is a big one, but I'm positive that I will gain skills and virtues that will play into whatever I do for the rest of my life. I'm a little scared, but I'm also excited to see the new things that I will learn and become a part of. I'm also very excited to see where the Air Force takes me and how I will flourish with finding what I love. I hope to find a job in the Air Force that I love to do and ideally make that a career. I know for my future I need to be purely motivated in whatever I do and whenever I do it. I need to set larger goals for myself to rise to a new challenge, and in the Air Force there will be no short amount of challenges. I want to prompt all of you to experience things, even things that you don't even like. I just do things and get out there and have experiences. Find things that you like or don't like, which leads you to know yourself better. Thank you.